As a perm and then a color to your hair and expect your hair and expect.
Okay, Dad.
This was the weapon used in the murder.
Estate, and he's right up the backside of another.
If you're young, there's a good chance you've had streaming TV for most of your life, and you've never had to flick through channels just to find something good to watch, or sit through ads to watch your favourite shows. Netflix launched a streaming service in 2007, and by 2011 had already become the largest single source of internet traffic in North America. The years since have seen aggressive competition from players such as Disney, Hulu, Paramount, HBO, and Discovery, and many regional players too, as they've competed for subscribers in the streaming wars. This era has been described as peak TV, as we've been flooded with content across every genre, more than any of us can hope to watch. Even just keeping up with the must-watches would be a huge challenge. In many ways, this is a good thing. As nostalgic as many might be about old TV, we've recently been blessed with some incredible shows with incredible performances. And this has all been with a level of convenience previously unthinkable. It's all truly on demand, in 4K, with no need to wait for the right time on the right day of the week on the right channel to watch our favourite show, or be forced to buy a box set or rent the DVD. Streaming subscriptions have become expensive though, especially with recent price rises and crackdowns on password sharing, and despite all the must-watches, it can feel hard to pick just one, especially when our attention spans have been eroded by social media. In this environment, ad-supported streaming services, either low in cost or free altogether, represent an attractive proposition, and their smaller, older selection of content may actually be part of the appeal for many users, even if some are making a push into original content. Let's get into it. The first ever paid TV ad was for Bulova watches, displaying before a baseball game between the Brooklyn Dodgers and Philadelphia Phillies in 1941, and featured the TV station's test pattern with Bulova's logo on it for a minute. In the years following, TV ad spending grew steadily, and soon came to be an accepted part of watching TV, barring some exceptions such as premium cable or state-funded TV in some countries. TV ads even embedded themselves in popular culture, with huge budgets going towards making them as effective as possible, including market research and celebrities. The Reagan administration even blocked attempts to limit the amount of ads shown in between children's TV shows. TV ads experienced disruption with the advent of VCRs in the 80s, allowing viewers to record their favourite shows and skip over the ads when viewing later. This trend continued with the advent of digital TV recorders with integrated hard drives, such as TiVo and Sky Plus. There was a general acceptance by viewers that ads were necessary, but if there was a way to avoid them, they would. Of course, the biggest disruption to TV ads was the rise of streaming TV, with Netflix being the biggest pioneer of this format. Netflix launched its streaming service in 2007 with only 1,000 films at first, compared to the 70,000 it had on DVD. Netflix released its first original programming in 2013 and went on to experience explosive growth, overtaking cable paid TV subscribers in the US by 2017. The plateauing and decline of cable TV contributed to the slowing growth of TV ad spend. TV ad spend peaked at $70.59 billion in the United States in 2019 and was described by eMarketer in 2022 as an industry that peaked several years ago and is now in decline, also being one of the first areas of ad spend to get cut in the pandemic. To offset the decrease in viewers, there was a pronounced increase in ad load, normally measured in minutes of ads per hour of TV, further increasing resentment towards traditional TV. By this point, more streaming services had entered the fray too, such as Disney Plus and Prime, further heating up the competition in what has been described as the streaming wars. Even though lockdowns shut down future TV production, we arguably reached peak TV during them, as streamers fought for subscribers to prove growth to investors, regardless of profitability. By 2021, the number of original productions had increased to 559, from 400 in 2015. The problem wasn't necessarily with the quality of the TV, there was just too much of it, more than viewers could possibly watch. As early as 2015, John Landgraf, boss of FX, made this point. As a critic, I do feel overwhelmed by the amount of television, but not by the amount that's terrible, most of which I get to ignore. I feel overwhelmed by the amount that's okay, perfectly fine, watchable, but unremarkable. This proved to be unsustainable, with the inflection point being early 2022, when Netflix announced that it had lost subscribers in Q1, the first time it had done so in 10 years. This was potentially due to market saturation, especially in the US, hitting a total of 221.84 million subscribers globally by the start of 2022, as well as increased competition from other services. Netflix was forced to cancel numerous productions to get operating costs under control again, and this was a similar story for other viewers, who were under pressure to reduce losses and increase profitability. Netflix cracked down on password sharing as a means of boosting subscriptions, a move that proved to be successful, in large part due to Netflix's essential position for many subscribers. Ultimately though, this pressure was passed on to subscribers in the form of price increases, but many streamers had a plan to make this a bit more painless. Hulu was the first streaming service to have ads, launching its paid subscription service in 2010 with ads included, a move that was controversial at the time. However, most of the recent crop of streaming services now have ad options too, such as Discovery, Disney, and even Netflix. A move that was surprising considering CEO Reed Hastings' previous comments. These were all launched as new tiers that were more affordable than existing ones. At a time of high inflation, these tiers were appealing to potential subscribers for whom the service was otherwise affordable, and existing ones looking to save money. The success of these tiers contrasts with Amazon's recent approach to Prime Video, which added ads for existing users without a change in price, and charges $3 extra for going ad-free. Unsurprisingly, this went down poorly. However, the strength of the rest of Prime's offering, such as free deliveries, will likely help them avert any mass cancellations. And ad tiers have been broadly popular, with 59% of consumers in the United States willing to watch ads for free or a cheaper subscription, and consumers in most countries preferring ad-supported options that reduce or remove fees. Ad-supported subscription tiers are streaming services' way of reaching the widest possible audience, according to people's preferences and financial means. For streaming services, it becomes a case of optimizing ad load to test the maximum number and length of ads that people will tolerate at the highest possible price. But what about consumers who don't want to pay anything? Enter advertising-based video on demand, or AVOD. It works in much the same way as SVOD, subscription-based video on demand, but it's entirely funded by ads. AVOD has been growing in popularity in recent years, with its growth expected to double that of SVOD by 2028. Examples of AVOD include Pluto TV, Tubi, Roku Channel, Amazon's Freevee, formerly IMDb TV, WeDo TV, and Arlax. Many of these AVOD services also have a FAST element, sorry to bring in another acronym, which stands for Free Ad-Supported Streaming TV. These operate in a very similar way to traditional linear TV, with 24/7 channels that show scheduled content, and I'll go into a bit more detail on them later in this video. For convenience, I'll use the phrase free streaming TV to refer to both AVOD and FAST. One of the defining characteristics of these services is that their libraries are mostly comprised of older content, which is cheaper to license. Past its prime, but still enjoyable. There's true crime, like Unsolved Mysteries, The FBI Files, Killer Cases, reality TV like Paternity Court, Ghost Hunters, Real Housewives, History Channel style shows like Ancient Aliens, Wicked Tuna, and old cartoons like He-Man, She-Ra, and Transformers. You'll often find a lot of overlap in the content available on these services. Gordon Ramsay's shows are a prime example of this. You are likely to find Hell's Kitchen, Kitchen Nightmares, Gordon Behind Bars, Ramsay's Best Restaurant, Gordon Ramsay's Shark Bait on all of them. Exact figures aren't available, but they're likely licensed out relatively cheaply, and are a good deal for streamers looking to balance cost and a large appeal. There's generally minimal, if any, original content on these services, although there's some exceptions to this that I'll come onto later. The core business model, though, is squeezing value out of older, cheaply licensed content. While big streamers like Netflix would be embarrassed to put old content like this on their homepages, this kind of content is part of free streaming's appeal. Feelings of decision paralysis preceded peak TV, as subscribers began to feel that there was so much to choose from, and yet would find themselves scrolling endlessly for something to watch. Peak TV caused services to aggressively compete for subscribers with a glut of content, producing endless, shiny, slickly produced shows with new concepts and star-studded casts. This is a sharp contrast to the pre-streaming era, where viewers had to watch whatever happened to be on TV at the time, record it in advance, or choose from a limited selection of DVDs or VHS tapes. Free ad-supported TV, FAST, is something of a return to this norm. The ability to plop down on the sofa and watch whatever's on, even if it's midway through an episode. There are channels that will exclusively air episodes of one show, and some that are like traditional TV channels, focusing on a genre or style of content. With the advent of streaming, many households became cord cutters, giving up costly cable subscriptions and the experience of channel surfing. The proportion of US households that had cut the cord or never had cable increased from 18.8% at the start of 2014 to 53% by the end of 2022. This was an especially attractive option because streaming subscriptions were cheaper and there was a more manageable choice of services. Consumers are generally disillusioned with this now, feeling that the increased cost and spreading out of shows across services makes it expensive to watch all of the must-see content, with some choosing to subscribe to each service for 1 month at a time. Cancellation rates rose from 5.1% to 6.3% year on year in November 2023, with costs being the most commonly cited reason for this. In this environment, free streaming services are an attractive proposition. While nobody likes watching ads, we at least avoid the feeling of being ripped off, or the obligation to get our money's worth. Interestingly, free streaming services are especially popular in Germany, where 3 in 4 consumers use them, and subscription service growth slowed sooner and hit a lower penetration rate than other countries. There are a few reasons for this. Firstly, Germans are generally frugal, with Germany's personal saving rate clocking in at roughly 50% higher than the EU average. Secondly, German viewers tend to binge watch less, 9% fewer than their British counterparts. And thirdly, 65% of German viewers use TV to switch off, compared to 56% from the UK, possibly due to Germany's strong culture around work-life balance. These last 2 points are particularly pertinent when it comes to FAST, which provides a casual, non-committal way to watch TV. For example, Pluto TV starts autoplaying as soon as you open it, much like a traditional TV. This casual approach makes sense in a world where the TV is often only one of multiple screens we're using, with 86% of internet users using another device while watching TV. But what about streamers that are really upping the ante when it comes to content? Free streaming may have gotten its start on older, cheaply licensed TV, reliant on its low costs to make the business model work, but some streamers clearly see enough value to make bigger investments. Freevee is the most prominent example of this, which Amazon rebranded from IMDb TV in 2022. The service had a few original shows as early as 2019, but only started getting serious in the following years, releasing 13 shows in 2021, 26 in 2022, and 33 in 2023. To boost the service even further, Amazon announced in 2023 that they'd be transferring over 100 originals from Prime Video. Freevee now has a healthy selection of original content, including possibly free streaming's first hit, reality show Jury Duty. In Jury Duty, Ronald Gladden, a solar contractor from San Diego, takes part in a jury trial as a member of the jury, unaware that his jury duty wasn't official and that everyone else in the courtroom is an actor. Ronald is confronted with a series of bizarre and entertaining scenarios, which are made for effective, shareable social media content. The series even received 3 Emmy and 2 Golden Globes nominations. Freevee having this fresh, original content, in addition to its large library of older content, including FAST channels, makes it a force to be reckoned with in this space. One of Freevee's biggest competitors, Roku, has a more complicated arrangement with its original content. In the wake of Quibi's collapse, Roku was reported to have bought its library of semi-fresh content for less than $100 million, seemingly a great deal considering Quibi spent $1 billion on it. Examples of shows included in this deal were Die Hard, Most Dangerous Game, Chrissy's Court, and Punk'd, some of which it chose to continue, but most of which it chose to end after the first season. However, this deal was not what it first seemed, with initial reports suggesting that this content had been bought outright, only for nearly all of the shows to be discontinued in 2023. It seemed to be the case that they still had to pay license fees, and these were simply too much for Roku at a time it had to cut costs. It's questionable whether Roku made back their investment on this deal, and they don't have the kind of deep pockets that Amazon has. Regardless, Amazon and Roku both clearly see potential in AVOD, as they're still both making originals. Roku just isn't paying to host Barkitecture anymore. A common sentiment among viewers is that we're back to square one when it comes to TV. We escaped expensive monthly cable subscriptions with ads, only to end up with expensive streaming subscriptions with ads. Except this time we need multiple subscriptions to watch what we want. This is an understandable feeling. The entertainment industry is constantly trying to extract value out of customers, and using our need to keep up with the zeitgeist as bargaining power. But ultimately, streaming services make decisions on the basis of what we're willing to tolerate. As much of an inconvenience ads may feel, the success of ad tiers on streaming services have shown that many of us are willing to trade our attention for a cheaper subscription. Ads have funded the internet for decades, but the golden era of streaming, where subscriptions were ad-free and negligible in price, grew us accustomed to a state of affairs that was never going to last. And for those of us who have little interest in keeping up with what's hot, AVOD and FAST services provide a lot of entertainment that was considered prime when it was released years ago, for free. Following the glut of content during the streaming boom, these free services offer us a means to reevaluate our relationship with content and maybe lower our expectations of what it should do for us. As much as ad-free subscriptions were the foundation of streaming TV, our attention is simply too lucrative to go unmonetized through ads. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Do you regularly watch advertising supported TV, or do you stick with subscriptions? Drop a like and hit the subscribe button if you want to see more. I release a new video every couple of weeks. Until next time, see ya!